Thank you very much, Walter, for this introduction. And now we have come to the moment in which we are thankful to these panelists coming for a high position in their own sector or areas. I propose we start I'm going to introduce each of you. And I propose you start with an initial statement on the area that you consider you want to deliver your opinion, either from Walter presentations or your own interest when it comes to the future evolution of railways and its importance for addressing the challenge that we have in our world. So I will start from my right. So I want to say hello to Andreas Liliequist, which is head of unit at Karolinska University Hospital. So you can imagine that is not into the railway sector, and that is something that we praise a lot. So we want to hear what an emergency expert, a person that is dealing with people having troubles every day, can think about our mode of transport and can think about specifically the Pods concept. Thank you, Andreas, if you want to
thank you, and thank you.
I think you have like a presentation as well.
I hope so. Okay, thank you for allowing me to get in here. I'm really feeling like I'm on thin ice here. It's not really, trains are not my core business, so why am I here, really? And I'm the head of the cardiothoracic ICU and OR at Karolinska Hospital. It's the major university hospital in Sweden. And I'm also in the hospital board for all ICUs for Karolinska and Stockholm, and we have handled a lot of emergencies and pandemic and things throughout the years. And but now we are actually coming into a new phase where we have to plan for war. We are let's see, is it possible to change?
It's a PDF.
It's okay. It became like this. So let's see. I just do like this. I will try to move through. Okay, you're going to. I'm going to take you out of your comfort zone. For the first 3 slides, maybe you want to close your eyes because you're going to see some blood actually. But what we're looking now is into concepts where we can deliver our expertise to the patients, because it might actually be a problem to bring the patient into the hospital to be able to save them, and I will address this. Let's see. The problem at a battlefield scenario is actually that people are not getting shot anymore. They are mostly blast injuries, and this is the problem both for soldiers and civilians, and a lot of loss of limbs. And as you see here, they're using tourniquets to stop the blood flow from extremities. And there have been some serious advancements in pre-hospital care in these kind of settings, and the Americans have, together with NATO, has taken really good concepts of saving the patients. But you need to be able to get the patients into the hospital within an hour. So in Afghanistan, for example, they used helicopters. The problems now with the Russians is that the airspace is contested, so you can't really fly anymore. So you won't be able to bring the patient to the trauma team, and your field hospital is actually counted as a military target, and it will be taken out. And also the hospitals are also considered military assets. And without taking any political stance, and I can just conclude that the hospitals that are close to our front lines are taken out in wars in these days. And it's really hard, and this is the Children's Hospital in Kiev last year, bombed out. And it's really hard to deliver any type of care. And you will have mass casualties in these kind of situations. Also, concerning Sweden, we are now planning for several fronts where it might be front lines where we have to remove soldiers from, and also civilians. And we are also planning, if the fronts are backing down, we have to actually empty cities and empty hospitals. So we need to be able to use hospital trains. Because there are not enough ambulances in the whole of Northern Europe to do this. And for example, during the First World War, I know that the British Expeditionary Force evacuated over 100,000 patients from Flanders in 1 month. So, I mean, it can be huge if this would happen. And it's not any more like unlikely this is a possible scenario. So what do we want? We want to be able to deliver critical care in an ICU. And the left picture there is actually an ICU inside a train in Ukraine that's running now by Médecins Sans Frontières. That's for my department. But you also want to bring computer tomography, X-ray, so we can, because you actually do an X-ray of the patient before they come into the trauma team. So you start with this, and so you need to, and it's a heavy equipment, and it's also need like a platform that's really stable and can't be shaking around on some back of a truck. Doesn't work. Also, to be able to save them now, modern healthcare needs hybrid operating rooms, and we need a lot of space, a lot. Also, blood bank, sterilizing units, equipment, and pharmacy. Oxygen generators. So, what came into my mind, and I met Armando, we have been discussing, maybe hospital trains. I mean, it's an old concept, but in the old days, it was more or less like evacuating trains, more or less. But my proposal here, or my question here is like, would it be possible to construct like a train pod with a standardized train pod for medical equipment to be able to deliver a hospital to the place? Maybe the hospital has been taken out, but the area is somewhat secure. Maybe you can take the hospital train into this area with staff, with sleeping carts, restaurants, and we can actually deliver care. Because in Ukraine now, it takes like at least, I think the minimum time, or the average time was like 6 hours of travel from the from the front line to the nearest operational hospital. And this is also for civilians that gets hurt. So this is the old expeditionary force, British Expeditionary Force with war cards. Actually, they later on evolved this because it turns out that if you just try to convert these old cars, the toilets in the ends of the cars are in the way, because if you have an operating ward, you have to be able to move the patients up and down the train. So if you build a pod, you actually have to, like a hospital pod now I'm talking about, you actually have to be able to move throughout the train and still have a pod. But war is not the only bad things happen in Spain also. Jesus, maybe know about this. And the hospitals can easily be taken, but it was just pure luck that the hospitals weren't taken out. And you have you might end up in a situation with mass casualties and not being able to deliver healthcare. So disaster relief, also this was my reality for a couple of years. This is a picture actually from my friends in France, but we dealt with the pandemic. We had to upscale our department 4 times the usual numbers of beds. It was a huge effort to take care of all of this, and it was like on the margin what we couldn't have taken anymore. And if we would have gotten even more patients, they would just have died, because if you're in a situation where you need critical care and you don't get it, you die. So in this kind of situation, you could also think that this train could be a pandemic response, like liver current or ICU beds into a region with a pandemic outbreak. Maybe even if you get a real bad outbreak of some of these bleeding disorders like Marburg or one of these really bad. I mean, like the coronavirus was actually, or COVID was actually like a mild virus. It can be much worse. I don't know if you remember when the pandemic that was 1919, millions died, predominantly young people and children. In that kind of case, they will actually lock down cities. And then in that kind of situation, you must be able to deliver healthcare into these regions. So using pods. Sorry for my AI constructed picture. But ChatGPT. But then I took this from yours. But maybe you could put some of our equipment into this. And also, if you noticed on the map, one of our fronts was the island of Gotland in the middle of the Baltic Sea. We need to be able to load it on the ferry, of the Gotland ferry, or whatever, or in the back of one of these. So the Americans or NATO, they already have one. They have these boxes that are made out of shipping containers, but they're horrendously small. Mm-hmm. They don't have any windows. I get nauseated just looking at them. I don't want to travel on the back on the truck with some patient there. You can't really work. This won't work because we have a lot of equipment, and you need to be able to work. Also, this is actually a Italian initiative during the pandemic, but was never used as far as I know, and I think it was because this container proved to be too small. So, but a couple of weeks ago, I actually saw this. This is the Swedish cross-country ski team's ski preparation bus. So maybe you could have something like this.
Standard caravan for US retirees.
Yeah. Or something else that's bigger to integrate also with healthcare systems. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. So we have